Herbaceous gardens have loads and loads of colour for the summer, and here's a really nice one in here. As soon as we get in here, there's some greater celandine, which is a really interesting plant. It comes from New England and then the northeast United States. And then there's some nice hardy geraniums there. And over this side, loads and loads of this astrantia, this masterwort, and some Jacob's ladder that's just finished, and loads of other interesting herbaceous plants going everywhere. Herbaceous gardens are generally made of sort of perennial plants that die back in the winter, and then in the spring you can have some bulbs coming up as well, so you've got colour for most of the year. And they sort of flower at different times. These are daylilies, and they sort of flower about now, and the flowers only last a day, and then they have loads of these flowers coming up there. They do last for quite a time. You get sort of yellow ones, orange ones, and red ones. And then over here we have some yarrow, achillea, and these are sort of like nice garden ones, pink ones. The wild ones are always white, but you get quite a variety of colours of yarrow. Some lupins, they're very good, and some different types of dahlias. These haven't come out yet. You ideally want a mixture of things to come out at different times during the summer. And here, purple loosestrife, which is a wild plant, but it has a very long flowering season, and it just looks really good in a herbaceous garden. I've noticed there's quite a lot of it here. A lot of these plants are clump forming, and all look really good together. Here's a phlox that hasn't come out yet. There are lots of different plants in the scabious family that do very well in herbaceous gardens. Loads of different types of dahlia. Hardy tradescanthia here, which is related to the house plant. Sea holly is a fantastic plant in a herbaceous garden. It is actually a wild plant. It grows wild on beaches, right on the top of beaches in the sand, and they're loved by bees. There are loads of bees just here and here. They're always covered in bees, but they have this incredibly unusual looking colour, and they are sort of prickly. The young shoots in the spring are edible, and they have some herbal uses, but they're in a herbaceous garden. They're just gorgeous. Box paniculata are really good. They get quite tall. In fact, I have never seen one this tall. They're usually about 2 feet tall or 1 foot tall, but you do get some rockery types that just trail and go really small. But if you look at the flowers, they're really kind of exquisite and unusual. And the flower heads go on for ages, so they last a good month or more. And they're a really good plant to have as well. All the plants so far have been sun lovers, but you do get quite a lot of herbaceous plants that like the shade, like these sort of pink oxalis here, which are very colourful. And then you get like loads of different types of astilbes. Usually they're not as tall as this one, they're usually like about a foot high, but astilbes are very interesting. And this Japanese bonnet, that sort of grows in semi-shade. That's very interesting. Looks a bit like a bottle brush, but it's not. And Michaelmas daisies, they'll come out later. And daylilies will grow in the shade. And loads of things will grow in the shade. These are some very interesting sort of plants. They look like sunflowers, but they're not. They're in the fleabane family. The Latin name is Inula. Like the big elecampanes that you get, but I'm not sure exactly what this one is. Really nice furry leaves. And really bright flowers. And then here you've got another type of scabious here, which is a really interesting one, very tall one, and just has a really nice effect here in the summer. Loads of different herbaceous plants. Earlier in the year there'd have been some of these Japanese primroses, like the Primula candelabra. There's loads of different types of them. I'm not sure exactly what type this is. They're just shedding their seeds now. But what on earth is this? Wow, that looks really interesting. Very spiky, and these very sort of spiky kind of cactus-like leaves. I can't see a label or anything anywhere, but that looks really interesting. If I came back here in maybe a week or two, that should be flowering. And it's always good to have a nice bench somewhere so you can look at its plants and things. Fuchsias are a shrub from South America, Central America mostly, and a lot of them aren't very hardy, and they usually die right back, so they kind of like act like a herbaceous plant. And they're very colourful. They go on flowering right until the frost, so they're a really good thing to have. And just loads of interesting plants here. like this one as well. This particular garden has a little tower in it. You come in here, loads of these blue bellflowers, and then you've got this little staircasey bit. As you're going up, little views out of the garden, little ways out onto higher levels of the garden. Here there's loads more herbaceous garden. There's just so much to explore here. As the spiral staircase goes up, you've got more gorgeous views over all this really lovely herbaceous garden. And then it comes out here onto this high up bit. I've noticed that bit's closed today, but this bit's open. And you've got this gorgeous view right round of the gardens here. It's really nice to have a tower. Even though it's quite low down in these gardens, you get a fantastic view of all of the sort of lower parts of the gardens here. Hostas are a very interesting plant from Northeast Asia. They're just coming up to flower. The flowers are quite lily-like and exotic, and hostas are usually known for these very interesting leaves. That's a variety there. As you can see by these little holes in the leaves, they are very, very prone to slugs. And they do really well in an acidic soil, and they grow really, really well in the shade. There's some kind of very interesting variety of catmint here. It's catnip for any American viewers. And it doesn't look like the normal catmint, but it smells just like it. A very, very strongly scented plant, lots of medicinal uses, very, very interesting. Cats just roll in it and destroy it if there's loads of cats. But here it's growing quite happily. This is Brunea. It has these really gorgeous variegated leaves throughout the summer. But in the spring, it has these flowers that are like forget-me-not flowers, and there's a rogue one here. So you can see what it would be like when it's covered in flowers like that. But yeah, for the rest of the year, you get these very gorgeous variegated leaves. And this does pretty well in the shade or semi-shade as well. No idea what these are. Very interesting looking. No label. Probably completely grown over and hidden their label. They're interesting. Leaves like this, and these are very interesting yellow flowers. There's more of them here. These, what on earth are these? I recognise those leaves, but these flowers are really extraordinary and unusual. Type of hosta here, growing with a bit of purple wolfsbane there. Hostas are really shade lovers, but you can see how the slugs have eaten the leaves. There's some hosta flowers which have started to come out, and you see how lily-like and unusual they look. Here you can see what effect they have, all those different colours just blending in together, very bright and vibrant. Herbaceous gardens are really brilliant for just providing lots and lots of colour in the summer. And here is some more wolfsbane. There are loads of different types of wolfsbane. They're related to delphiniums, and they're extremely poisonous, otherwise known as monk's hood or aconite. They spread into big clumps, and they quite like a lot of nutrients. They grow really well next to compost heaps. And they flower for quite a long time. Loads of different types of them flowering at different times, sometime during the summer. And this one's a kind of nice purple one. Loads of interesting types of dahlia here. There are so many different types of dahlia, but they are generally half hardier, and the roots would need to be lifted before the frosts come. Here is some herbaceous type of potentilla. You do get shrub varieties as well, but you also get wild varieties with the cinquefoil in the tormental and the silverweed. Herbaceous plants look best when they're all sort of growing together and looking like they're kind of semi-wild. Some Peruvian lilies. They're very colourful and they flower for a very long time, and if they're happy they spread and grow and even seed themselves, but not everybody can grow them, and they make really good cut flowers. Loads of herbaceous plants growing into these massive clumps and just look really fantastic. These are just starting to come out now. Notice some cannas. They're not flowering yet. They've got a flowering stem there. They're kind of bit delicate, not very good at surviving the winter, but if you've got a sheltered location, they're okay. And they do like a kind of damp location. Peas. Some fennel. Loads of herbs are basically herbaceous plants, and they do very well in herbaceous gardens, and most, or rather a lot, of herbaceous plants have herbal uses as well. Another really bright and colourful dahlia there. That just looks fantastic. It's only really just started coming out, but it's going to look amazing when it comes fully out. Loads of different types of salvia. This one's more like a kind of shrubby thing, but it does look amazing, and they have this very, very long flowering season. The really exotic looking dahlia. Many different types of campanula, all different shapes and sizes, generally pink, purple, blue or white. The blue one. Evening primroses, I mean these are usually annuals or biennials, and they come from the central United States. They are very, very colourful. Bina. Here the campanulas and purple loosestrife go nicely together. Here is some giant kind of ligularia. You get loads of different types of this. It comes from East Asia, and it has these really big leaves and does really well in the shade under trees, and it quite likes it a bit damp. But you do get lots of types of this, and not always as big as this one. Some different types of wolfsbane growing together. Some of this sort of purpley one, and there's like a white one there, and some lighter purple ones, and you can see how they just spread into these massive clumps if they're allowed to. They are extremely poisonous. Just tons and tons of colour. A few. Loads of poppies. I mean, annual plants can grow just as well in a herbaceous garden. Often they seed themselves. Loads of this masterwort, otherwise known as Astrantia. Loads and loads of herbal cures this one has, hence it's called masterwort. Different kind of Peruvian lily that's a bit taller, sort of happily growing with this very large astilbe, and this brilliant purple looking campanula. This is interesting. Here is a white version of the wild pink rosebay willow herb, which looks kind of interesting and very different. And over here, there's a pink version of Filipendula, the meadowsweet, which is in the wild is white. So you've got kind of a bit of a mixture, and these are really interesting. Never seen a pink one before. You can see what a brilliant effect herbaceous plants can give, and what a lovely kind of overgrown cottage garden feel they have, and it looks kind of wild all growing together. It's a really, really nice effect. Loads of good things for the bees to pollinate, and just loads and loads of colour. I noticed a much bigger ligularia there, really, really big one. A bit different to the other one. Loads of different kind of minty things, loads of different herbs. And it's just so nice and so colourful and so bright. But that's our little herbaceous garden tour for today. Whoa, it's always nice when they put benches places. You can just look at this gorgeous garden. So I hope you liked today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And if you press the little me, which is somewhere down here, then you can see all my other videos. And I shall see you next time.